there. Okay. So take my monitor audio off. Okay. All right. If anybody's on YouTube, let me know how that sounds. Anybody in there to let me know how the audio is? I just know last time I started and I had not switched my scene in OBS. Anyway, we'll get right to it. I'm gonna time this for 15 minutes. So it's 3:07 right now. So let's just do till like a little more than 15 minutes. We'll do like 3:25. So just keeping it light and simple, considering everything that's going on here. If you notice my eyes moving around, it's because I got a bunch of screens in front of me. Just try to make sense of what I'm doing. Plus, it's my general workspace. So anyway, today, oh, good. Thank you for checking audio on YouTube. Feel free to throw a thumbs up at your boy, like and subscribe. So today I was just talking about, every week I'm pretty much talking about what I'm working on this week or different topics relating to things I'm already thinking about. You know, just because I'm mixing these into my normal workflow with client work, so it makes the most sense. Anyway, today I'm talking about VNRs. Like, what is a VNR? What is it used for? Why does it matter at all? So a video news release, I pulled the wiki just to kind of make it official as wiki can be anyway. So a video news release is a video segment made to look like a news report, but is instead created by a PR firm, advertising agency, marketing firm, corporation, or government agency. So you see VNRs all over the place. Video news release. I mean, they're getting shared around Instagram constantly right now. People grabbing segments of news sources. So somebody's already gone out and shot that and created that footage that you're seeing on whatever news station you're tuning into, or whatever post from a news station was shared. So what happens is, you know, a company or agency, so let's just say it's a company, a restaurant. A restaurant's going to open. They're going to want footage of their place, of people maybe eating in their restaurant, or maybe some live action. Maybe they're launching a special event. Pretty much what they're going to need is set shots and specific shots that incorporate exactly what they're trying to showcase. And they're going to want that ready to launch to news outlets when they do open. So like right now, a lot of things are moving. A lot of companies, casinos, hotels, restaurants, resorts, you name it, they're trying to reopen. And so specifically for Vegas next week, we're reopening. So I've been working on some VNR projects, video news release. So let's just see what Wiki also explains on it. So they are provided to television newsrooms to shape public opinion, promote commercial products and services, publicize individuals, or support other interests. News producers may air VNRs in whole or in part at their discretion, or incorporate them into news reports if they contain information appropriate to the story or of interest to the viewers. So critics of VNRs have called the practice deceptive or propaganda technique, particularly with the segment is not identified to the viewers as a VNR. Firms producing VNRs disagree to equate their use to a press release in video form, or point to the fact that editorial judgment in the worthiness, part or whole, of a VNR's content is still left in the hands of journalists, program producers, or the like. So yeah, these can be used as propaganda. This is just kind of interesting for the times. It's just now occurring to me how relevant this is to what's happening right now. And now we see in the mix of a VNR is, you know, what I would call, you know, user-generated content, right? So obviously there was a viral video that went around. It was a user-generated piece. A portion of that was grabbed by media outlets, blasted to everyone, you know, surfaced through all the social sites, and then became a real big deal. Not to say that it wasn't already, but with it being pushed and broadcasted, obviously it's gotten people in somewhat of a I don't know, uproar. It's so, you got to be so tasteful with the words you're using right now. But anyway, so VNR. So yes, they're used for video news releases. So to give you an idea, I shoot events a lot, and a lot of times I'm shooting for like cut down videos, but I always got to consider the VNR shot list. So, you know, when I was just in Miami, I say just, but before all this happened, Miami for the Super Bowl, and I had to shoot an event that had a specific edit, and then I also had to consider the VNR shot list for that as well. So, it can be tricky sometimes, you know, video for news, you know, generally they want, so a couple tips for shooting a VNR. First of all, make sure you have clarification on what it is you're trying to even, what the VNR is going to be used for and why it'll be used, and then also the specific shots that your client or agency wants to see in those. So that's kind of tip one, is a shot list and understanding. So there's two tips. They're two separate tips. One is just have an understanding of what it is you're trying to do, which I say about every project, whether it's VNR or just a flip and edit or shooting to hand over footage. So tip one is to understand what it is you're trying to portray as, you know, the representation of that company or why the VNR is going to be used. So what's neat, I think, for like a videographer standpoint, is if you get the opportunity to shoot something like this, your footage gets blasted to, you know, depending on the news outlets they're trying to reach, or maybe it's regional, maybe it's national. I think what I'm shooting will end up being international, which is kind of cool. But obviously with Vegas reopening and things kind of happening here, you know, it's a pretty national and also international thing, considering Vegas is an international city. So that's tip one, is have an understanding of what your client's trying to portray and what the important things are you need to capture. So it leads into the shot list. So, you know, make sure you have a clear understanding of the shot list and you're cross-referencing and checking constantly. And I say this for any shoot you're on. If the client's provided a shot list, build your own from that, but make sure and make certain that every shot that the client mentions, and sometimes it'll be casual, to be like, hey, it's not on the list, but will you capture, you know, a wide shot of, you know, the stage or whatever it is, the presentation. And I'll promise you, when you hear that from a client or whoever is, you know, relaying information to you or going to be the one approving it at the end, that whatever they mention to you at the beginning, even as casual as it may be, make sure you cover it, because that's the one thing they're going to be looking for. Oh, what's up, Marcus? So yeah, you know, make sure you're covering that shot list as efficiently as possible. And like I was saying towards the shot list, this is obviously specific to a VNR, like a video news release, but oh, so I'm getting invited to a bike ride. Awesome. So sorry, I just got distracted, but I generally would say take the shot list and build your own from that shot list. But any shot list you're given, make sure you cover what is being asked. Sometimes there's an ask that is like, the shot's maybe not really there. You know, maybe it was like I said, they're kind of casually just saying, hey, maybe if you could get the wide shot of blah, 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 grab it. Well, grab that shot anyway, because it's easier to show somebody that a shot didn't work or that you weren't totally overwhelmed by the aesthetic than it is to say, hey, like, there was no shot. So I think it's much better to just get the shot and have it for a reference later, and get it as if you're trying to get the best shot, like you would always be doing. So anyway, yeah, build your own shot list out of that. But remember, with a VNR, they're going to want very specific things. So number 3 is to shoot elongated and locked off footage. So I'm explaining this as someone who does content, but also has the opportunity to do these things. And I'm explaining it from the point of like when if I was to show up to an event or something that would need just a specific 1 minute cut down or like a recap, then, you know, you would want to shoot in a creative manner. You know, you're always telling the story, but you're trying to think of transitional opportunities and stuff like that. A VNR is not that. So when you're like a creative editor, do creative video, you stylistically have a specific way you go about it, then, you know, you kind of want to scratch that a little bit, you know, because really they're looking for these shots on the shot list. And usually I shoot for a little bit for bulk, a little bit for like opportunistic down the road type footage, depending what footage I'm on. But I've noticed on these most recent VNR shoots, you know, I'm working with the PR person and they're very specific about, you know, maybe they don't have a vision of what the shot actually looks like, but they're trying to cover their talking points and the things that are important that need to be broadcast and the messaging that needs to be delivered to the world, really, or wherever that VNR is going to land, because they know the purpose of it and they are going to be really consistent about trying to create the purpose. And, you know, some people aren't comfortable totally being like, hey, look at the shot I got. But this is a great time to get comfortable with that because you know right away when you're showing a client or somebody who's on site, maybe it's just your contact, you know right away whether they like that shot or not. You know, they won't go, I hate it. Some people will. But, you know, unless they say, oh, wow, or I love that shot, or it looks beautiful or something, you know that probably they want to see something different. So that's what I would say, you know, cover that shot list thoroughly. And, you know, you want to use sticks. You want to lock shots off. You know, I've been on shoots where I was just shooting for a 1 minute recap and I see press guys come in. And honestly, they're usually a little bit more old school. They know exactly what they're doing. They got a big camera rig. They set up, they get the shot, they get the interview, and they get out. And so, you know, their shot list probably was for a one wide shot of a deal. And usually it's the news sources guy, right? So whatever news source that was, it's usually their guy they send out. He sets up the shot, gets the shot, and then really for him a lot of times it's about being more efficient to get that footage either in the reel or back to the studio. So that's kind of 3 or 4 tips there. Like I said, getting real long, beautiful shots. And sometimes you might be in a position where a shot isn't coming to you. It's a live event, let's say, and a shot's not coming to you. This is tip 4 or 5, whatever number it is. Excuse me. Maybe a shot's not coming to you. Then my next advice would be, it sounds crazy, but stage that shot. You want to still feel organic, but let's say you're shooting a restaurant. And you need a waiter to walk in the shot. Check on a table. You got a great frame. You just need the waiter to show up. Well, go ask a waiter. Hey, waiter, can you just walk into the scene, check on a table for me, and then walk out? And I bet usually you will get some help. So that's kind of number 4. Yeah, then let's move to like post-production. So generally you're shooting for an event. It needs to be a cut down that needs to go live pretty quickly. So I would say is as you're shooting, monitor the shots. You know, in most cameras, you can do some type of selection process in camera. And I would say delete the stuff that you know you don't want, but some people feel a little crazy about deleting stuff. And honestly, I don't like to delete stuff from my card while I'm shooting. But you can do a star rating, like the Canons, for instance. I can do a star rating on an image or a piece of footage. And so let's say that PR person's with me and they go, oh, I love that. You know, hit it with a star or 2. Or maybe it's your 5-star, whatever. But let yourself know that, hey, this is a good shot. Maybe it's like you just look at the info and maybe it's the file name, or maybe it's just a visual reference where you didn't shoot too much of that shot, so you know. But I would always say, and this goes with any shoot, is look at your footage as you go. I think as a young videographer, whatever, years ago at this point, sometimes you're like so busy shooting and getting shots, you don't take a minute, you know, especially when it's an event, you're really just trying to get the best of the event. But, you know, you might miss 1 or 2 things And unless they're not hero moments that are specific to your shot list, it's not going to matter that much. Look down in your camera and, make sure you're getting a clean shot. And like I said, if there's a PR person there and they've lended their, it can be risky sometimes, but if they're, down to look at your footage as you go, take note of the ones that they really raise their eyebrows out. I know we were walking away from a shoot before and I was discussing with the PR person I was working with, how nice it was that they were willing to work with me and look at the shot clearly and give me feedback whether it worked for what their vision was or not. And like I said, it could be risky. It could make your job a little bit longer. But at the end of the day, the point is to have something that person's happy with anyway. So the nice thing too, and I always explain this, is there's no surprises then for that individual. So they've seen everything that you're going to be showing them in the edit. So anyway, you sit down to edit, you've shot your elongated shots, you've taken note of what you like, you got some PR feedback. So that way, by the time you're sitting down, you're like, oh, I know what I'm getting into. Then a VNR, it's usually the actual edit and rendered output, okay? So let's say you had an interview also. Let's say you had B-roll of 2 different restaurants or locations, right? So like my last piece of advice is to kind of pre-create title cards, pretty much slides that'll say, here is the introduction, here is the interview, here is the B-roll from this location, here is the B-roll from this location. That way when the news outlet gets their hands on it, they can scrub quickly through, and once they hit a title card, they know what they're about to see. So let's say it goes to a news outlet that just needs the B-roll. Okay, great. They can scrub through and quickly see, hey, there's B-roll on this. Let's say it goes to an outlet that only needs the interview. Boom, they see the interview portion, they're right in there. So those are kind of just simple things. And then remember, elongate those shots. And I would say that for a lot of creators, it's easy to rely on artistic fallbacks is what I like to call them. Whereas like you got a decent shot of it, but the party kept going, the event kept going, so maybe you didn't miss it. Well, go back and get another shot of that just in case. And artistically, you can rely on that in more of a stylized edit, but you don't have that when it comes to a VNR, where you can just, do a couple frames of a shot or make it a transitionable thing or make it a loopable, a boomerang type feel like in the midst of the edit. So go back and get those shots. With the VNR, you want elongated footage, so I would say 5 to 10 second clips, especially when you're doing locked off stuff, because literally that's what they're going to want to see. Watch the news right now. Outside of UGC stuff, user generated content, the news is not full of shaky camera stuff unless, they're on, like right now we're probably seeing a lot of that at these protests where there's a news reporter and a camera kind of chasing after them. Most news segments and almost all that are provided from and by the news source or from a VNR are locked off. So that's where that style changes quite a bit. And like I said, as much as you want to be creatively inspired and do different creative work and, come up with an edit for yourself, always remember the deliverable, always. And in a VNR's case, man, if you ran around and you just took 2 to 3 second clips and try to put something artistic together, they're going to be very dissatisfied. So anyway, that's kind of the gist of a VNR. I told myself I would keep it kind of tight today. We're at 25. I'm going to go a little bit longer. So that's kind of the main topic. Usually I break this down between a main topic, a current event, and then some type of gear reference or gear of the week, as I like to call it. What's up, Dave? What's up, Pixie? Who else we got in here? A couple other folks. Is Jocelyn still in here? That was nice of her for jumping in. And then it looks like we got a few on YouTube. Throw a comment on YouTube if you're in there. Let me know who's listening. So that's the gist of a VNR. If you want any more information about that, or if you're challenged with that as a creator and want to hit me up, feel free. I'd love to talk about it and give you like more detailed tips and stuff like that. So let's kind of move on. Usually, like I said, I like to do a topic, a current event, and then, kind of a gear of the week. So really current events, a tricky one because it's a weird kind of time right now. And it's not something really that I put as something I go into, this is business. I like to separate personal views and business. And I think that's okay. I think it's okay to focus on the work and stuff like that. But anyway, this can be kind of our segment. I heard this great quote, and this is for like creatives or creators. People call themselves creatives, and that word gets thrown around a lot, and it compartmentalizes what I like to refer to as creators. Creatives, when you work in an agency, everybody expects them to be kind of floating around and always on and always have some new idea. Oh, I'm losing my IG here. Are you still there, IG? Sorry, the Wi-Fi is getting a little wonky. But that word creative gets thrown around a lot. And everybody kind of is aspiring to be that now. It's something to be. Going through design school and working as a designer like for years and years, I don't think it was till like 2015 that creatives got thrown around so much. And even later as stuff got, as social media and more, it became a thing to be a creative or a creator, as I like to say. But the reason I'm saying that is I think, getting to that is more about being a creator, and I think we all are that to some aspect. Especially like in the industry, people who work more PR, people who work more these other things are, I've noticed that can be fascinated by like the creators and the stuff. Oh, what's up, Lamani? There's the future, man. The future's in the building. I still owe you some footage, bro. I got you. It's been a wild time. I'm sure you're seeing that as well. Yeah, Lamani, I love this dude, man. Nothing but great things to say about that guy. So anyway, creatives, creators. The point I'm trying to make is we're all creators, and it can be challenging. This quote I ran into this week, and I'll just say it and then I'll get to it. But the price for creativity sometimes, or not sometimes, I'm just gonna say it the way it was quoted. The price for creativity is it's hard to catalyze an identity. And I think that's true. And I think it was Jordan Peterson who said that in an interview. And what he's saying is that, you can be like distracted or curious about so many different things, and you're piecing things together, and you're inspired by this thing, inspired by that thing. And this is somewhat why I feel that you see a lot of artists, create personas and identities around their influences. And I think that's okay. And I think as a designer and creator, it's easy to, that's kind of how you start, right? You see something great and you try to remake it. See something that inspires you and you go ahead and remake it. And I'm not knocking that. I think that's where you begin. But the point is to not continue in that and to use that inspiration to create something that you're proud of, that you came up with. And I think even in the video world, right? Like, it's okay to try a video. You see a technique, try it. See a way to incorporate it later. And I think it's gotten rid of like biters and stuff like that. But so back to that phrase, the price for creativity is it's hard to catalyze an identity. And I do believe that especially creators and young influenced content creators and designers, identities are culturally influenced. But I believe that the real ones, find ways to be the influenced, to be the influence and not to be so influenced. It's like being a thought leader and not a thought follower. And some people, in the name of leading, being an idea leader, are really just regurgitating what they've heard and not building their own idea around multiple sources or around their own experience. And so anyway, that I guess that's kind of my current event. It's not really a current event, but it's really more about saying, hey, if you see something that's dope, like, try it. And then see another thing, try it. And then keep trying these things and work your way into a place that you feel like you're creating for yourself, and you're creating things that you're proud of that are coming from you. And as a creative, and that's why I lumped us all in that category. We're all creators, whether it's something you're making a dope video or dope design, or you're coming up with a building project on a house, or maybe it's even more simple than that. Well, our minds work that way, to be problem solvers. And at least that's what I believe. And, don't create a persona or an identity and attach to it based off of someone else or someone else's ideas or opinions. Create for yourself your own idea and opinion. And these kind of go hand in hand, with the work that you do and the person that you become. And I think that's super valuable to the person that we're becoming. And I'm talking to myself. I'm always talking to myself when I'm saying these things. But the price for creativity is it's hard to catalyze an identity. And I think there's a lot of people looking for things to attach to, an identity to have right now. And social media world, pretty much the social media world puts a lot of pressure on people to find an identity and to portray an identity and to become something. But don't lose yourself on the way to becoming something that is just inspired or influenced by someone else. And I think I see, and you probably have similar situations, you see a lot of that where it's easy to lose yourself. And that statement, the price for creativity, is it's hard to catalyze an identity. It's hard to start creating your own identity when you have to attach to something or become something quicker than you are. Social media makes us feel like we got to look the dopest and the most awesome all the time. It generates and I think people are starting to get a lot more curious about it with behind the scenes and people actually telling stories about what they were before they became the thing that was so impressive. Well, it's like, don't feel like there's nothing in between. There's the work and the everyday learning and figuring out and tinkering and trying and failing that gets you to where, you become, your own influence, or you become the influence to other people. And I think that's, if there's anywhere I want to be, it's that I would influence people to be thought leaders and not just to take ideas from other people and regurgitate them and get, emotional about things. You start leading with emotion and reason goes out the window. So I guess that's my current event. I'm going to just jump into other things, but just love and kindness, that's where it's at. And don't feel like you got to be anything other than yourself. So anyway, jumping into kind of gear, I'll give this just like 2 seconds, 3 minutes, somewhere between there. So I was just talking about VNRs and different things, and I always just want to refer to like a piece of gear I think you should always have with you, something smart from beginner to expert, intermediate, wherever you are. This is a tool to have with you all the time. I'll show it off right now. This is a H4n recorder from Zoom. And this is more the consumer. I think this was a couple $100, but having something on you like this, look, let's say you're shooting that live event and they have a soundboard. All of a sudden you can take the house audio, which I think is key. I'll show YouTube also, but let's say you needed to pick up a quick interview or just needed to record room noise. All of a sudden you got this. You can set it up and pick up that room noise. You can get a quick interview. These produce great audio, like right out. And I'm showing the H4n because I'm using the H6 right now. And if you're on YouTube, I will flip us over to showing off. It's kind of crazy though. I went to look up this H4n, and I went to Zoom's website this time because last time I went to B&H and it's discontinued. I'm sure there's places you can find it. I was actually going to look H4n Recorder at B&H. Let's see what it says. So B&H still has it. It looks like just Zoom has discontinued. Oh, here's a cool one. It's all black. This is pretty sick. Oh, this is a fancy looking one. I like this. And then the other one I wanted to kind of refer to is this H6. I mean, if you got the budget to go H6, you got to do it. It's sick. You have 2 more XLR ports. It's $300 compared to $230. So I would say it's worth the $70. Like I said, you have 2 more XLR ports. This one only has 2. But man, these are great. I swear too, the audio going in these is amazing. And right now what I use it for is just audio capture for my streams. I'll use it on set sometimes. I keep the H6 with me all the time, but when I'm in studio, I'm using it for audio capture. It captures to an SD card. Ooh, this is sick. Look, all Zoom H6 all black. This is sick. See, I would have spent it was extra $50. I don't know, for the all black. Oh, this is 6-track. Oh, no. So, yeah, same specs, it looks like. Single mic capsule. Yeah. But the mics up top of these, you know, the other thing the H6 has is it's a interchangeable top. I think this one is pretty limited. Yeah. Anyway, recorder. You never know when you need clean audio. You could do a full interview with this bad boy. You could pick up house audio. You could plug into somebody's already live audio, which is super helpful. If you've ever been on a live gig and all of a sudden they have house audio they can share with you, it is sick. So anyway, I told myself I would do a live stream every Monday, and you know, that's what I'm doing. And today, honestly, I didn't feel like it. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on. I got a lot of client work going on, which I'm super grateful for. And, you know, I'm able to bring my crew in for these projects, which has been awesome. But, yeah, I did it. Anyway, I hope you guys got some out of this. And I'll wrap it up here on IG. If you're on IG, click the link to the YouTube, which is in our bio. You can check out previous episodes. We do a little bit more of a show and tell where I'm, you know, showing links and screenshots, actual footage. Last week I dove into an edit and kind of showcased that. But yeah, thanks IG. I'll wrap it up here on IG. You can check us out at www.madegoodco.com and hit me up. You'll find my email. Hit me up if you want to work together or just any questions or whatever. You can hit me up. All right, thanks IG. Let's share this story. All right, I wrapped it up on IG. We can wrap it up here on YouTube. Man, I like streaming on YouTube the best, I'll be honest. IG is cool, but I don't know. I just like all the different things I can do with OBS and stuff like that. So I did 40 minutes. I said I'd do 20. But anyway, I did it. And thanks for tuning in, you guys. Like I said, check us out on Instagram at MadeGoodCompany. Check us out on Twitter at MadeGoodCompany. You can check us out pretty much wherever you can find us. And you can hit me up at mike@madegoodco.com if you want to email me or got any questions. I keep wanting to build this stream out, and I'm gonna. You know, pretty crazy times out there too. You know, take care of your families and be safe. All right, thanks for tuning in, you guys.